This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. It looks like EV sales in the U.S. could really pick up steam in the second half of the year. Cox Automotive forecasts that Americans will buy 1.7 million EVs this year, up from 1.1 million last year. And that would be a 54.5% increase and would give EVs a 10.8% market share. But first quarter EV sales were not at that rate. They were up 15%. And interestingly, Cox Automotive says the slowdown in electric sales growth is mostly a Tesla slowdown. Its sales were only up 3.3% in the first quarter, and not counting Tesla, EV sales were up 33%. Cox also says used EV sales shot up a strong 70% in the first quarter compared to a year ago. Though the numbers are small, used EVs only accounted for 1.8% of all used car sales. Cox says one reason they're growing is that they qualify for a $4,000 tax credit for many car buyers. Plus, it says the Manheim auction houses now offer a battery health monitoring service called Battery Health that can tell buyers how good the battery is, and that's giving more people the confidence to buy a used EV. Despite all the media attention that UAW President Shawn Fain has been able to generate for his union, the UAW continues to lose membership. It now has 370,239 members, down 3.3%, despite having signed up 10,000 new members last year, meaning it's losing members faster than it can sign up new ones. Maybe it can start turning that around by organizing the non-union automakers operating in the U.S. In 3 weeks, the UAW will hold a vote at Volkswagen's assembly plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, to see if the workers there will join the union. Ford created an uproar when it signed a deal with CATL to build EV batteries at a new plant in Michigan. Some American politicians are criticizing the deal, saying the Chinese involvement could threaten U.S. security. But reports out of China say that General Motors wants to do the same kind of deal. GM would build the plant and own all the equipment, but it would license the technology from CATL to make LFP batteries. And CATL employees would help GM get the plant up to line speed. It could be built in the U.S. or Mexico and is targeted to start production in 2027. And the reason they want LFP batteries is because they're up to 1/3 cheaper to manufacture than NMC batteries. And the reason GM and Ford would turn to a Chinese battery company is because Japanese and Korean battery makers aren't mass producing LFP batteries yet.
Intrepid's NeoVi Pi, allowing automotive engineers to interface, capture, and monitor vehicle data using Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, it's the automotive industry's first robust platform for Raspberry Pi, featuring Intrepid CAN-FD technology and Raspberry Pi compute module. The NeoVi Pi is designed for automotive environments, allowing use with relative power ranges and applications. In addition, the NeoVi Pi enables you to use the Raspberry Pi for compute while avoiding additional development to adapt to network environments. That makes the NeoVi Pi powerful enough to solve your vehicle network problems, yet small enough to fit in your backpack. One of many Intrepid tools used for developing zonal architecture and software-defined vehicles.
The newest plug-in hybrids about to hit the Chinese market are claiming some really impressive ranges. Both Geely and BYD say they have new PHEV systems that can travel 2,000 kilometers or 1,242 miles on a full charge in a full tank of gas. And one way they're hitting those figures is with really efficient engines. Geely is using an engine with a thermal efficiency of 46%, which we think might be the best in the world. Both systems should be out this year, but their ability to achieve those ranges will depend on the size of vehicles they're put into. And the Chinese test cycle more heavily favors slower urban driving, so there's about a 35% difference between China's CLTC test and EPA figures. That would drop those range figures to about 1,300 kilometers or 807 miles, which is still pretty impressive. But another Chinese automaker is out to prove that it is possible to go that far today in a PHEV. Chery is live streaming 2 of its plug-in models as they try to drive the 2,000 kilometers. Car News China reports they've already gone over 1,200 kilometers, or 745 miles, and should wrap up later today. The vehicles are full-win A8 Pro models, which won't officially launch in China until April. But if you're wondering if it has a big battery and gas tank, it doesn't. The battery pack is 18.3 kilowatt hours, and the gas tank is 60 liters, or about 15.8 gallons. Chery is not the first automaker to live stream a vehicle's so-called feats of strength. NIO did the same when it wanted to show that its EV, the ET7, could go 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles on a single charge. And Ford partnered with an adventure traveler and YouTuber to drive the Explorer EV around the world. So we wouldn't be surprised to see more of these kinds of promotions. Panasonic made a couple of major announcements. It's selling its entire automotive business, called Panasonic Automotive Systems, to U.S. private equity firm Apollo Global Management. The unit accounts for around 15% of Panasonic sales, and it mainly focuses on infotainment systems and other interior components. The value of the transaction is just over $2 billion. The deal is expected to close by the end of Q1 next year. But Panasonic isn't completely severing its ties with its auto business. It will take a 20% stake in the new parent company that will operate the unit, and they'll maintain a strategic partnership. Panasonic also announced that its energy division, called Panasonic Energy, has signed a deal with Mazda to supply it with cylindrical lithium-ion battery cells. But that's all we know for now. The companies say more details will be shared at a later date. With vehicles becoming more advanced and more EV models hitting the market, automakers are buying more semiconductor chips. According to a survey by World Semiconductor Trade Statistics, the automotive industry passed the consumer electronics and industrial sectors to become the 3rd largest buyer of chips behind computer and communications companies. Automakers and suppliers accounted for 17% of chip purchases in 2023, 3% higher than the year before. According to the Semiconductor Industry Association, today's vehicles have between 1,000 and 3,500 chips, and S&P Mobility says the value of chips equipped in each new vehicle was $500 in 2020 and will rise to $1,400 by 2028. And the auto industry's share of the semiconductor business is expected to continue to grow as it adopts more advanced chips like silicon carbide. Bridgestone revealed a new Lunar rover tire that it will display at the Space Symposium in Colorado next month. The company previously developed a Lunar tire prototype, but as you can see, the new one is much different. It looks similar to non-pneumatic tire concepts that Bridgestone has developed for cars and bicycles, what it calls air-free, but this one is made from metal instead of rubber or plastic. Bridgestone says the new tire's design offers higher durability and a better ability to go over surfaces compared to the previous Lunar tire. As some of you know, Toyota is developing a Lunar rover, and we think there's a good chance it will use these tires. But that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day, and I hope that you have a great weekend.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey, and by Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering. Boost your game.
When the peace and quiet of your morning commute is as comforting as your morning macchiato. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza EV tires. Less noise for more quiet comfort.
Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details, and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.